Okay. Um, Girish Prabhu, I'm happy to see you here. Thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, maybe we'll get started now. Um, Om Agyantimirandhasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Ajivasmruta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Mukhum Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langayate Girim, Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam, Paramanand Madhavam, Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. All right. Uh, so today we are beginning with the fourth chapter, um, mm, the acronym. Now, um, um, I invited one of my friend Girish Prabhu, so I will, and I see Soumya Mataji also here. Thank you both of you for joining. Um, so this is um, every chapter we discuss maybe a half chapter or a full chapter of Bhagavad Gita, a half chapter or full chapter of Bhagavad Gita in each discussion. Um, we are on the fourth chapter. The first chapter, Bhagavad Gita actually begins from the second chapter. The first chapter is simply Arjuna telling Krishna that he doesn't want to fight, and he gives five reasons why he doesn't want to fight. The second chapter is a summary of entire Bhagavad Gita. Um, the third chapter, Krishna speaks about Karma Yoga, and this fourth chapter, Krishna speaks about Gyan Yoga, or transcendental knowledge. Um, every chapter is divided into an acronym. Like the acronym for this fourth chapter is years, and if you see, there is a meaning to it. Like E stands for eternal education, A stands for accurate understanding, R stands for removing reactions, and S stands for recommended sacrifice. So um, this is this acronym is just to help us understand the basic concepts covered in fourth chapter Bhagavad Gita. So first Krishna speaks about what is the history of Bhagavad Gita, how Bhagavad Gita is coming, and something on that. So that's covered in education, eternal education. Bhagavad Gita was not something spoken by Krishna to Arjuna just 5,000 years back. but it's always existing. So we'll see the history of Gita. Then there are certain misunderstandings about spiritual life. In A, Krishna um, mm, addresses couple of misunderstandings and gives us an accurate understanding. And once we have that accurate understanding of spirituality, we can move in a right direction, in a proper path, and that will help us to become free from sinful reactions. Recently, with a couple of devotees, I was discussing about karma, um, um, and how we are bound up from previous lives based on what we have done in the past, and our reactions are binding us today. How to become free from those reactions, sinful reactions, how to become free, how to get rid of them. And that is R, removing reactions. And S stands for recommended sacrifice. The different sacrifice Krishna mentions, the purpose of those sacrifice, and what is Krishna's final recommendation on what sacrifice can we perform. Uh, so that will be the four concepts we will cover in this chapter. Today we will cover E and A, and next week we continue with R and S. The reason why this acronym fits very well ears is because transcendental knowledge is received through ears. Ear is the most important organ for self-realization. Um, because even when we are sleeping, the eyes are inactive, the tongue is inactive, and the sense of touch may be inactive. Um, uh, but the ears are always open. Alarm rings and we get up. And our progress, um, the scriptures explain the two most important means to make progress spiritually is by hearing and by chanting. So we hear about Bhagavad Gita, about scriptures, about Krishna. Um, that's how we get an understanding of spiritual life, only through ears. Most of the people try to get understanding of spiritual life through mind, but mind cannot take us forward spiritually because mind is it's a matter, it's a subtle matter, and we will discuss more about mind in the sixth and the seventh chapter. But the idea is just by thinking how to make progress, we cannot make progress. But we need a right approach, um, authentic way how to make progress. That we come to know by the process of hearing. And whom do we hear from? We hear from scriptures. We hear from Bhagavad Gita. We hear from Bhagavatam. We hear from Vedas. That's how we get an accurate understanding of how to progress spiritually. Um, Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, he mentions beginning of spiritual life is through hearing. By hearing about spiritual life, we get a complete understanding. So, beginning with eternal education. Okay. Now, just like when we come to this world, we go to school, and um, we get education. Um, to get education, we need a history of which standard we studied before. Then, if you go to a school, um, they will ask you to give an entrance exam, um, so that they can know if you are ready to be admitted to standard 6 or standard 7. They do an interview for you, kids, and then after 1 year you know your success. You will be graduated from that standard. So this section is called School of Life. School of Life means it contains the history of spiritual education, where it is coming from. It requires the entrance qualification. What is the qualification needed to understand Bhagavad Gita? Who can understand Bhagavad Gita? Who cannot understand Bhagavad Gita? That is entrance qualification. And graduate success means what do we achieve when we have understood, realized, and when we practice Bhagavad Gita in our life? What do we get out of it? What's the gain? So these are the three topics in this E. Okay, now history. Here Krishna mentions this, the personality of Godhead. This is the first verse of fourth chapter, 4.1. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga, which is Bhakti Yoga, which is Bhagavad Gita. I instructed this imperishable science to Sun God. So Krishna is telling, I gave this education that Arjuna, I am giving it to you. I gave this knowledge to Sun God. Vivaswan. Vivaswan is a personality who leads the sun planet. Just like sun is a planet, just like earth is a planet. Um, we call Mother Earth. Mother Earth means the personality who rules that planet. Or in other words, you can say just like before, 5,000 years back, we did not have separate president of India and president of America and president of UK. Maharaj Yudhishthir was the king of Earth planet, and then Maharaj Parikshit was the king of Earth planet. So they were ruling the Earth planet. Likewise, Sun is a planet, and there is a Sun God. Sun God is a personality who is ruling that planet. Sun God is a post, just like president is a post, and different personalities can acquire that post for a certain time. Likewise, Sun God is a post. Different personalities who have good karma can take the post of Sun God. Our current Sun God, his name is Vivaswan. So now more detail about how are they chosen, what is the life of Sun God, what is the life of these other devatas like Indra, Varuna, Chandra, will come in 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita, the last section. It's called demigods. It will cover that section. But at this point of time and understanding that sun is a planet, sun god is a post, and the name of the current sun god is Vivaswan. Everything, I mean, it takes little time to really absorb um, um, the spiritual subject matters. And if you hear for 4 or 5 months, you will have a much clear understanding about spirituality in a way that most of your questions and inquisitiveness will be answered, because Bhagavad Gita is spoken in such a way that step by step every question will be answered. Every week you will learn something new, because um, it is spoken by Krishna, who is all perfect, and in only 700 verses, which are divided into 18 chapters, Krishna has explained all necessary steps to progress in our spiritual life. So, Krishna first spoke the science of this yoga, Bhakti Yoga, to Vivaswan. Vivaswan gave and passed on that knowledge to his son Manu. Manu uh, gave it to his son Ikshvaku. And that's how the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita was coming down from sun god to Manu to Ikshvaku and going down. Um, in the purport, we recommend you get a copy of Bhagavad Gita by Srila Prabhupada if you don't already have one. And as we are discussing, try to read the translation purport. That will help you to have even a deeper understanding. And I encourage you to ask questions at any step you have any. So it is elaborately described how what is the time duration. So Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to sun god at least 1.2 million years ago. Vivaswan to Manu, Manu to Ikshvaku, and that's how it was coming down. And at some point of time, the kings became corrupted. They did not give pass on that knowledge further down to their descendants, and hence the knowledge of Gita appears to be lost. And because the knowledge of Gita is lost at certain point of time, a dharma will rise. Dharma is established by following scriptures. When we don't follow scriptures, then we are unable to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong. When we are unable to discriminate, we may end up in doing wrong things thinking there is nothing wrong in doing that because we don't have a higher understanding. And when we do wrong things, we are further incriminated and we engage in adharmic, irreligious activities, and we are incriminated in the cycle of karma deeper and deeper. So Krishna says, at certain point of time, the knowledge was lost, adharma grew, and then I descend again to establish dharma. And that's why I have come again to give this science to you again. And only 5,000 years back, Krishna again appeared on this earth planet and gave the science of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. If we can understand Bhagavad Gita, then only we will be able to act according to dharma. Dharmo rakshati rakshata. If you follow dharma, dharma will protect you and dharma will grant you all spiritual success. We understand dharma through scriptures. That's what we are trying to do. It may happen over a period of time because so much spiritual education is coming. We may feel less interested or bored. Somehow be patient to go through these 18 chapters. Be patient to understand them. It will bring you, um, it will be very beneficial for you. Um, so next is entrance qualification. What is the qualification needed to understand Bhagavad Gita? Krishna explains here. Sa evayam maya tedya yoga prokta puratana bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hi itat uttamam rahasya. Rahasya means mystery, mystery. Rahasya hi etat uttamam. Who can understand the supreme mystery? Um, the supreme mystery of the science of how to progress spiritually. Everyone, people go to temple, people do yagyas and sacrifice. People have heard so many things. People do so many things. But but actually, to make progress in spiritual life is a mysterious science. Until we adapt ourselves how to progress, we will get deviated and we may not get the required success that we are looking for. And Krishna says that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, O Arjuna, because you are my devotee as well as my friend. and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Arjuna, because you are my devotee, you can understand this mystery of the the transcendental mystery of the science of Bhagavad Gita. So qualification is bhakta and sakha, devotee and friend. Non-devotees cannot understand this science. If we want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we should be favorably disposed towards Krishna. We should not have any envious feelings towards Krishna. We should have faith in Krishna. We should be a devotee of Krishna. My Lord, I take you as my guide. Please, I am your devotee now. I beg you, please help me understand the science of Gita. If we miss this point of surrendering to Krishna and not being a bhakta, bhaktyosi mein sakha cheti. If this bhakta of Krishna, we won't be able to understand. We may hear it, we may go through these 18 chapters, but we may not understand it because it is mysterious. Why it is mysterious? I can speak it, still you may not understand it. Why? Because Krishna is sitting in your heart. Until Krishna inspires you and gives you a deeper understanding from within your heart, you cannot understand it. That's why it's called Guhyam Rahasyam. It is mysterious, it is secret, because it cannot be understood by reading it. It's something that has to come from within. Someone can speak, they can be an instrument, but how much you understand depends upon Lord's mercy on you. And Lord will be merciful on you if you are his devotee. Very simple example can be, I can speak it, you can hear it, but if you don't have Lord's mercy, your mind will go somewhere else. And you hear it, but you did not hear it. Because we are where our mind goes. If our mind is engaged in some office activity, we are actually subtly in office at that point of time. And Krishna says, mind is energy of Krishna. Um, Krishna can control our mind. So if you become a devotee and if you have this humble mood, my Lord, I want to understand, I want to progress, please help me. Then you are qualified to understand Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, you're not qualified. So this is called entrance qualification. Okay. Um, it continues. Um, Arjuna got a doubt right away. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. Sun god is there for over 1,000,000 years. Vivaswan is in the post for over 1,000,000 years. You are my friend almost of my age. I am 70, 80 years old. You are of similar to my age. How can you give the science of Gita to sun god million years back? I can't understand it. So this is the doubt of Arjuna. The sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? How can I understand? You spoke 1,000,000 years back to sun god. Krishna's response, the personality of God had said, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. Krishna is telling to Arjuna, we both are always existing. And Krishna says the same thing in second chapter Bhagavad Gita. Never was there a time when I did not exist. or you did not exist, or all these kings did not exist. Never in future shall there be a time when we stop to exist. In other words, we are eternal, Krishna is eternal. Krishna says, now here Krishna is telling the difference between a conditioned soul and himself. A conditioned soul transmigrates from one material body to another, forgets everything due to change of body. It is described when we leave the body, we remember many births. Even when we are in the womb of a mother, we remember up to 100 births in the past. And it is described when we are in the womb of a mother, we pray. We pray to Krishna, my Lord, I am sorry. So many births have passed, I have forgotten you. This birth I will sincerely worship you. This is a prayer by a child in a womb in Shrimad Bhagavatam. See, we cannot understand. Why? Because we forget. Through scriptures only we can understand subject matter that is beyond our perception, because we only have little human experience that is also very faulty, and that also we don't even remember properly the human experiences. So the child remembers up to 100 birth in the womb, but the moment child comes out of the womb, Maya captures him or her, and the child thinks, my name is Tinku, this is my identity, and I am a product of this material world. I belong to this world. He identifies himself with the body and relatives and friends and his job and position and etc. So conditioned soul forgets. But that's the difference between Krishna and conditioned soul. Supreme Lord Krishna has a spiritual form. He appears and disappears just like a sun. He is omniscient. He knows past, present, future. The difference between Krishna and a jiva, jiva is a conditioned living entity. A jiva, when he takes many births, he, he takes a form given by the mother. When the soul is transferred in the womb of mother lion, the jiva comes out as a lion. When the soul is transferred in the womb of mother mother ant, he comes out as an ant. When the soul is transferred in the womb of mother bird, he comes out as a bird and he can fly. Um, the living entity, spirit soul, is transferred in the form of a seed through the father to the mother. This is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. And mother, with her own bodily elements, give the child a form. That form is material. It is made of material elements from the womb of a mother. Um, so the form of a living entity is temporary, but the form of Krishna is not temporary. The form of Krishna is eternal. It is not that Krishna changes bodies just like human being does. And Krishna, it is described in 7th chapter, Maya Adhyakshina Prakriti Surati Sacharacharam Hetu Namana Kontaya Jagat Viparivartati. Krishna describes Maya Adhyakshina Prakriti. I am Krishna describes I am in charge of Maya. We are covered by Maya, and that's why we are forgetful of our true spiritual identity, because we are covered. Maya means illusion. Why illusion? Our identifying ourselves with the body and everything connected to this body is illusory, because everything is lost at the time we leave the body. So To think I am this, it's an illusion. So a living entity is covered by Maya, but Maya is Krishna's energy. Maya works under Krishna's direction. Even the body of a living entity is made of Maya, um, uh, um, which is earth, water, fire, air, ether. They are Panchabhutas, the elements, um, um, product of material nature. They are matter. Everything which is matter is a product of material nature. So the body is also made of matter. Uh, but matter is working under direction of Krishna. Then how can um, Krishna have a material body or body made of matter when the entire material energy is working under direction of Krishna? um, so Krishna has a spiritual form and he appears and disappears just like sun. Just like we say, right now, I know some of the devotees in the group are from India. There is no sun right now. But here in US, there is bright sun outside. Wait for 10 hours, there will be no sun here and there will be sun in India. So when there is no sun here, does sun die? And when it appears in India, does sun takes birth? No, no. Um, sun does not die, sun does not take birth. Sun disappears from here and appears in India, disappears from India and appears here. Likewise, Krishna appears here and Krishna disappears from our material eyes, goes elsewhere, goes elsewhere. But in the same body, his body is transcendental, keeps going. Okay, okay, okay. Let us see if anyone has any questions so far. All right, all right. Um, and Krishna further clarifies. See, it may bring a confusion. Why? Because in the previous verse, Krishna says, many, many births, both you and I have passed. So it may give us a feeling that Krishna is also taking birth. Otherwise, why is Krishna telling many, many births, both you and I have passed? But what Krishna is trying to say, and it will be more clarified in the next verse, when I gave this knowledge to Sun God, I was there that time. You were also there. You don't remember. I remember. I remember your past and I remember all that I have done. And I remember not only you, I remember the past of every living entity. I also remember the future of every living entity. I am omniscient. I know past, present, future. But a conditioned soul forgets everything. That's the difference between Jiva and God. And Krishna clarifies further what we discuss. Krishna says, Ajopi san ayayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhavami atmamayaya. Ajo, aja means unborn, unborn. Although I am unborn. So although Krishna mentions I have taken many, many births, both you and me have passed many, many births. Krishna is telling I am unborn. There is no birth for me. Krishna just appears and disappears. That's why we don't say Janmashtami as birthday of Krishna. We say Janmashtami as appearance day of Krishna. And if you see how Krishna appeared from Vasudeva and Devaki, he did not appear like a child appears. From the heart of Devaki, right from the heart of Devaki, he came out in four-handed Narayan form, and he stood in front of Vasudeva and Devaki. He did not appear through labor pains and the process usually followed. Directly from the heart he came out because he's sitting in the heart of every living entity. He did not come out um, uh, as a small child. He appeared as Narayan. He has four hands. He has helmet. He has clothes. He has um, chakra, shankha, padma, gada. He has all four symbols. Um, youth, transcendental. When he appeared, it was dark of a night, it was midnight, it was complete darkness. By his effulgence, the whole jail was lit up. Krishna, his chakra, his helmet, his clothes, everything connected to Krishna is transcendental. In fact, when Krishna disappeared, um, there is a pastime how a hunter was used as an instrument because in previous birth Krishna gave benediction that you will become an instrument when you shoot an arrow. That will be the time I will end my earthly pastimes. There is a pastime connected to it. But when Krishna disappeared, Krishna sat on the chariot. The whole chariot went up. It is described only Brahma and Shiva could see because the speed with which the chariot went up was the speed of mind, greater than speed of mind. Nobody can even notice. We don't see any, we see samadhi. Samadhi is when a great saintly person leaves, he is given samadhi. We don't see any samadhi of Krishna. Even the chariot of Krishna, everything disappeared. So Krishna is unborn, and Krishna is describing here, although I am unborn, my body is imperishable. Atma, avyayatma. Um, it is internal, it is imperishable. Krishna body never perishes. Eternal. His body is eternal. Um, uh, Ishopanishad explains Krishna body does not have veins or blood or bones. Krishna's body is spiritual, transcendental. Krishna body never grew old, even though Krishna lived around 125 years on this earthly planet. Krishna was always 16 years old because in spiritual world Krishna is always 16 eternally, and Krishna always remained 16 only. You even don't see any picture of Krishna with beard and old age. Always 16. Body is imperishable. Although Krishna is always 16 in spiritual world, when he come in the material world, he takes a childhood form. He grew. That's his pastime. He becomes 16 and he remains 16. But eternally, he's, he appears in the same body he exists in spiritual world. There is no difference. It's transcendent. Even if we become liberated, we also get a transcendental body. What to speak about Krishna? There is a particular pastime. Narad Muni went to Ravan and he told Ravan that Ram will be the cause of your annihilation, of your death. Ravan became very angry. Ravan took a sword and Ravan cut off the body of Narad Muni right from the center, like this. And the sword went and passed, and Narad Muni stood there. Then the sword Ravan cut off every limb of Narad Muni, and the sword will just go and pass from here. Narad Muni remain the same. And Ravan asked Narad Muni, how's that? Why is it I'm unable to harm you? Narad Muni said, because your sword is matter. My body is spiritual. My body is transcendental. Matter cannot touch me. Same thing Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. The soul is not touched by fire or water, or the soul cannot be harmed by anything material, any kind of weapon. Soul cannot be burned, cannot be dried, cannot be moistened. Transcendental. It's only the body that is affected. And when we realize that I am spiritual by nature and I am eternal, one becomes fearless. Fear comes because we are attached to the body. Recently, one Mataji was telling me that, Prabhuji, these days I am very afraid. I am having lot of negative emotions. I asked, what's the cause? And she said, one of my relative in India passed away, and I am getting a feeling it may happen to me also, and I'm getting lot of negative emotions that I may die. Um, and I said, and I didn't say anything, but the fact is, I address in a different way based on time plus circumstances. But the idea is fear comes because of the feeling that I may die. And when I think I may die, then inherently I'm telling that I am this body. That is because of ignorance, because lack of knowledge, lack of understanding, lack of realization. So when the body of Narad Muni or a pure devotee is transcendental, it's spiritual. See, for a conditioned soul, there is a difference between body and spirit. It is described in second chapter Bhagavad Gita. It is described in second chapter Bhagavad Gita. Soul resides in the region of the heart of the body. There is a difference for us, conditioned soul. There is a difference between the soul and the body. The soul is within the body. The moment soul leaves the body is termed death. Body is termed, body is just matter. Body is able to move because of the presence of soul. The moment soul leaves, if you touch the body, it's like wood. I have touched some dead bodies. When some passes away, we do certain things um, for the peace of the soul who passes away. If you touch the body when soul leaves, it's just like wood, just like matter. If the hand is like this, you can't even open the hand of a body when soul passes away. If you want to open the hand, you just have to break the fingers. It's simply matter, just like a table or a laptop. You cannot twist it, you cannot do anything with it. Um, Likewise, body becomes just like matter. It is the soul which gives life. When we become spiritual, our soul expands and gets a form. It's called a spiritual body, a transcendental body. That's when we become liberated. Um, like Narad Muni, he has a transcendental body. But then we go back to Godhead, and we can discuss more about spiritual world in future. What happens there? How does it look like that? Because only see right now, because our experience is limited to human body, we cannot think anything beyond human body. Prabhupada, yeah, take, take. We cannot think anything beyond human body. Um, as we grow in spiritually and as we hear more about spiritual life, we get a deeper understanding about spiritual word also. And when we understand the sweetness of spiritual word, only then we will be attracted to spiritual word. And only then we will develop a desire to go there. When we don't know anything about spiritual world, Vaikuntha Lokas, um, we can't desire to go there because we don't know what will I do go there. We don't know anything. It's a black box. Then we fear to lose this body and become spiritually elevated because it's a black box. So the desire to progress spiritually also comes by hearing. Because before we actually start making progress, we want to understand. We want to understand the nature of this world. We want to understand the nature of spiritual world. And then we can make a clear comparison of two. Then only we can, once we understand the temporary nature and the suffering nature of this material world and the eternal sweetness, service, relationship, activities of spiritual world, then only we start developing attraction for spiritual world. Okay, so I don't think we will cover half chapter today. This call we limit to only 1 hour. We stay strictly with the time. So at 12 o'clock we stop wherever we are and then we continue. But this section is little deeper and that's why we are spending some time. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san. Ishwar. Ishwar means God or the Lord. Bhutanam is all living entities. Bhutanam Ishwaropi san. So Krishna is telling, I am the Lord of all living entities. Now we will see in the second chapter, before Arjuna would think Krishna is my friend, but later on Krishna Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. That's why this chapter is called Transcendental Knowledge. Now we are understanding about Krishna, Krishna's form, spiritual body, material body, and Krishna is also telling he is the Lord of all living entities. Bhutanam Ishwaro Pisan. I am the Lord of all living entities. In the previous verse, Krishna says, both you and me have passed many births. And then immediately Krishna removes any confusion because we may misunderstand that Krishna has many births. No, Krishna says, I am unborn. And the difference between you and me, Arjuna, I am the Lord of all living entities. Unless we are devotee of Krishna, we would not like to hear this statement. If we don't like Krishna, if we are envious of Krishna and Krishna says, I am the Lord of all living entities, we like, I don't want to hear it. That's why we cannot understand Bhagavad. That's why the verse before comes qualification. We must be willing to accept authority of Bhagavad Gita. And then Krishna says, Bhutanam Ishwaropi san. Prakritim swam adhishthaya. In my original transcendental form. We discussed about this. We took the example of Narad Muni transcendental form also. Likewise, Krishna's form is transcendental. Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. I appear in every yuga by my own energy, by my own mercy. I appear in every yuga. Okay, okay. This is one of the very famous verse that appears in this chapter. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. You know, if you watch Mahabharat serial, I used to watch in my childhood, they say this verse. This verse describes the time of Krishna's appearance, when Krishna appears. And it says, whenever and wherever there is a decline in dharma or religious practice or descendant of Bharata. And we covered this point in our first verse. It was spoken to Vivaswan, Manu, Ikshvaku, lost, religious principles started declining because no scriptures. Um, Krishna descend again. And Krishna here clarifies, I descend at that time. At that time I descend when the religious principles are declining. And we see that in Krishna's appearance, we can discuss in future the mystery of Krishna's appearance, that Mother Earth was in great pain because of Kamsa, Jarasandha, many demons on planet Earth. No religious sacrifices, cows were getting killed. Society was very degraded. That time Mother Earth became very depressed, seeing the situation of herself. She approached Brahma, and Brahma was helpless also to help. Brahma, along with Lord Shiva, Indra, and all other devatas, they went and they approached Vishnu. Vishnu is a maintainer. Any problem comes, they go to Vishnu, help us. They all approach Vishnu, we need help. And Vishnu said, um, um, I will appear in my original form as Krishna, and I will help you. Um, um, so wherever there is a decline of religious principles, to a great extent, Krishna appears. And then a predominant rise of adharma or irreligion. Yeah. Um, when dharma goes down or when adharma increases, I descend to reverse the situation, to again establish religious principles. How Krishna established dharma? Bhagavad Gita. Krishna gave knowledge. Once we understand Bhagavad Gita, we also understand what is dharma and what is adharma. Okay, and probably this is the last verse we discussed today. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam, to deliver the pious, sadhu, religious people. Paritranaya, I come to help them. I come to help um, devotees. Um, Previous verse described the time of Krishna's appearance. He appears when there is a increase of adharma or reduce of dharma. Both are one and the same thing, almost. That's when Krishna appears. Why he appears? To give shelter to his devotees. Pandavas, Arjuna were being mistreated. Krishna helped them. Krishna helped all the devotees. He protected the devotees. All the opposite people who were supporting adharma were vanquished. Krishna says, Vinashaya Chadushkitam. Vinash, Vinashyati. Vinash means destroy. Whom? Duskrita. Krita means worker. Dushkrita means irreligious worker, adharmic worker, Dushkrita, or demoniac people um, who are against dharma, Dushkrita. What do I do with Dushkrita? Vinash. Vinashaya cha Dushkrita. That's what Krishna did. He offered protection to Pandavas, Arjuna, He gave the punishment due to those who were supporting adharma. Dharma always wins. Duryodhan may be thinking, I may become the king. He may be doing wrong things, and he may be thinking, yeah, I am the king right now. I can make these Pandavas suffer. I can do whatever I want by illegal means. I can disrobe Pandava's wife Draupadi. I can poison Bhima. I can burn them alive in the house of black. I can do whatever I want. And see, I'm happy. Nothing happens to me. Just wait. Dharma will win. When we do something wrong, adharmic, at that time it it may not be visible the reaction that is going to come. It will come anyhow. It will come. Um, and it came. Eventually, Pandavas became the king, and Duryodhan was Vinash, annihilated. So this is the purpose, is to remove all the people who support adharma, establish, protect, give shelter to those people who follow dharma, and dharma samsthapanarthaya. And again we discussed to establish principles of dharma. Previous verse says when there is decline of adharma, at that time I come, and here it says, and I come because I want to establish dharma back through Bhagavad Gita. Sambhavami yuge yuge. And in every age I descend for these purposes. 3 minutes remaining. Punishment is also mercy. Every miscreant killed by Krishna was liberated. Even the most demoniac people, whoever was killed by Krishna, was liberated. Krishna is all merciful. Whether one is killed by Krishna or supported by Krishna, they get benefited. Krishna does not envy anyone. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Samoham sarva bhuteshu na me asti same na priya. I am envious of no one, nor anyone is dear to me. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. I am equal to all. But planet Earth, because he is the Lord of all, he is a maintainer, he wants to make sure things goes on nicely. Just like a thief comes to your home and starts stealing, you may be compassionate to him, but you will try to correct him. Otherwise, he will go to other home. If you are the cops, they don't envy anyone. Government, police, they don't envy anyone. But anybody who does wrong, they treat with them so that there is law and order in the society. Likewise, Krishna envy no one, but he kills, he annihilates. Purpose is established dharma. Whatever is needed to maintain, is a maintainer. And the last point is why Krishna has to descend personally. He can establish dharma through any of his devotees, through any of his incarnations. Why Krishna has to descend personally? There is a story of Akbar and Birbal where um, Akbar told Birbal, God, God will not come personally. God can any of his representative just by his desire, by material nature, Maya Devi, he can achieve whatever he likes. God does not have to come personally. And Birbal said, I will explain why God comes personally. And at one point of time, Akbar was going through a bridge, and Akbar saw his son standing on the bridge. Below the bridge, it was a deep water body, ocean, river flowing, ferocious. And Akbar was passing by, and Akbar noticed his own son stood up on the bridge and jumped into the river and started drowning. And Akbar became very anxious. Akbar knew how to swim. Akbar immediately jumped to uh, to save his son. And Akbar brought his son out, and he realized it was not his son, it was a caricature, Putla. It was a caricature of his son. And Birbal came there. And Birbal said, "My lord, why you have to jump? You were with so many soldiers. The whole Praja was with you. You could have asked them to go and save your son. Why you have to personally jump?" And Akbar understood. There is a loving relationship. Akbar loved his son, and that's why he was a king, but he was willing to jump personally because he loved his son. Likewise, Krishna comes to have loving relationship with his devotees because devotees they love Krishna and they want Krishna's association. They want to serve Krishna. Krishna reciprocates in that way. So Krishna personally comes. That's an internal reason to exchange love with his devotees. We also like to be around people who loves us, and we don't want to be around people who don't like us. Likewise, Krishna wants to be surrounded by people who love him, devotees. And that's why Krishna personally come to reciprocate with their love, to annihilate the demoniac people, to establish dharma. So, um, okay, so we covered this, and next week we will start with graduate success. What happens to those who understand Bhagavad Gita, who follow Bhagavad Gita? What do they get out of it? And then we go to Krishna removing certain misunderstandings about spiritual life. Now I am done for today. If anyone has any reflection, question, comment, they can ask. All right.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question. You told that in every yuga, Krishna has appeared. So in Kali Yuga, in this yuga, Krishna must have appeared in this yuga as well, right?
Three times.
Uh, okay. So in our place, we believe Krishna has appeared as Lord Jagannatha. So is it like three times now? You said, like, can you just explain?
Yeah, yeah. So Jagannath is Krishna. Are you from Odisha?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it is described in our scriptures that Jagannath is Krishna in the form of wood,
Yeah.
and that is Jagannath. Jagannath is directly Krishna. He personally appeared also as Buddha for a particular purpose, which we will discuss in 12th chapter. Appearance of Buddha and 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna appears as Lord Chaitanya to give the process how to he gave Hare Krishna Mahamantra and how one can go back to Krishna. Krishna appeared as his own devotee, Channa Avatar, and Krishna will appear at the end of Kali Yuga as Kalki Avatar, which will annihilate all the demoniac people. And after Kalki Avatar, Satya Yuga will begin again after Kali Yuga. Does that answer, Soumya Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, okay. So, um, um, anyone else, or are we ready to end? All right. Grateful to all of you. Thank you for showing interest and for your association. I'm always very happy to be with all of you, and today as well. My obeisances to all of you. Vancha kalpa tarubhesha kripa sindhube evacha patita nam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnavendra ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.